All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, April 24th. We have 9 MLB games on today's slate. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like in the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays. So I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. All right, in terms of yesterday, we do go 3-1, so it was a positive night. We'll take the cha-ching, but I kind of chuckle when I say it because we had 4 pushes/voids. Phillies, that game pushes. They were tied after the first 5. Reds, Marlins landed right on 5, so those 2 push. And then Logan O'Hoop doesn't play, and then the Rockies' first 5 team total, that game got moved to today. So I chuckle because I don't think in all of my years of doing this, forget doing this, in all of my years of betting, I don't think that I've ever had, I guess, a day in which I had more pushes/voids than anything else. So I don't know. There's a first time for everything, but nonetheless, still a positive night. Just a lot of blue peas over there, huh? But let's go ahead and take some of those wins, the momentum from those, bring them right into tonight because we're still kind of crushing the MLB right now. I wish that some of those games played because I think they were good looks, but ultimately still on a very good run, which we'll see how long that lasts. We can only do our best, right? But guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Let's jump into game number 1 here. We got Minnesota taking on the White Sox. Chris Paddock on the mound for Minnesota, going up against Smith for the White Sox. I would honestly say, out of what we've seen from White Sox pitching, Shane Smith has been decent. He's got a 2.82 ERA, 0.94 whip. Like, he's okay. The problem is he's got a terrible offense behind him, right? Chris Paddock, on the other hand, has started to look a little bit better. Ultimately, when we see him, that game against the White Sox earlier this year kind of comes to mind. It was like one of the games in which the White Sox said, you know what, let's go up there and hit. I don't necessarily, and he had like 9 earned runs through whatever many innings in that one. I don't necessarily see that happening again, to be completely honest, but I see enough that, I say, okay, well, I don't think that this Minnesota team is worth -230 right now, so I'll sound the psycho alert alarm. I guess by any sort of means, I would lean, not by any means, that sounds like I'd do anything to do it, but I would lean towards the White Sox plus the money because that's such an egregious price for Minnesota. That being said, if you're trying to throw in a parlay piece or something, sure, you're probably targeting the White Sox or the Rockies or something like that on the other end. You know what I mean? So I get it if someone's like, oh, well, Minnesota just is the better team. That's a fact. I just don't necessarily think that they should be -230. So by default, looking at this, I'll lean White Sox. Don't think I get there myself, right? Even if I do kind of believe that Smith has looked okay, and okay is saying a lot for a White Sox team, you still have an absolutely terrible offense behind him, right? In terms of where we go from a total, I thought about a first 5 under, but there's a couple factors here. First and foremost, what if Minnesota does get to Smith, right? What if it's all been kind of smoke and mirrors? Secondarily, the White Sox already got to Paddock. Kind of seems sketchy to think about taking an under when you already sort of have a little bit of a sample size under your belt looking at it, right? So what we'd ultimately end on would probably just be a full game under, but again, nothing that I'm jumping at the bit to go out there and chase. One spot that I don't mind, and this is just because he has not been hitting well this year. He also doesn't hit the pitch as well. We are paying a little bit of juice, but guys, you know me, during the baseball season, if I think that the juice is worth it, I will squeeze the goddamn orange, you know what I mean? I'm going to lean towards Christian Vasquez here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at -160. I would peg this one more around the -175, -180 mark based on how he's hitting and the pitch mix. And the fact that we're getting -160, at least in this dumb brain, I see, 10 to 15 cents of value overall. So yeah, I don't mind this spot. He's batting 150 against righties. Sure, that's better than he is against lefties at 100, but WRC plus just 32. Against the fastballs, Woba's at 140. Like, it's a fine spot for me. I don't think that he goes out there and gets things done. And honestly, that's kind of a way that we can back Smith to some degree without having to rely on every other part of the White Sox, right? Just one batter, we'll focus on him. Christian Vasquez, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. All right, next game up, we have Boston taking on Seattle. Garrett Crochet on the mound going up against Brian for the Mariners. I like both pitchers in this part, and this is funny because my relationship with Wu has gone in multiple directions. He started off as a guy that I didn't really like, and honestly, this season, even though he's had some up and down starts, I am starting to like him. Now, Garrett Crochet is appointment viewing at this point, right? The dude is absolutely filthy, and that's why this Red Sox team is so heavily favored. So far in this series, they've won one, they've lost one. I think that they get this job done today. That being said, we take a peek at, that those odds, minus 185 in the minus 180s, not all that great. But I do think that the Red Sox can, do a little damage here against Wu. In fact, using our dashboard, which I'll show you rather than telling you, I think that works a little bit better. You can see the fastball. Okay, the Red Sox don't hit the fastball, stupendously. But they are going to get a hefty load of slider and sinker, which they're number 3 and number 4 in the league in terms of runs above average last 30 days, which is still full season at this point, right? And they have a few guys that I would be worried about. Look at this. Duran, Bregman, Story, Abreu, Casas is actually starting to heat up, but Campbell all hitting righties pretty well. And you can see their numbers against right-handed pitching is a little bit better. And again, that slider that we're going to see, they actually have more than only 2 guys in their lineup don't seem to hit the slider all that tremendously. So I do think this is a good spot for them to provide some run support to Garrett Crochet. So the thing that I would pivot towards is most likely a Red Sox first 5 run line minus the 0.5. And we get the question all the time, and sorry if you guys heard this or you know this, but what's the difference between first 5 money line and first 5 run line? First 5 money line, like we had the Phillies yesterday, if you're tied after the first 5, it's a wash, it's a push. First 5 run line, the minus 0.5 means you have to be winning by at least 0.5 runs. So you have to be winning by 1 run, essentially. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that might be the direction we go in. I don't think you can ever go wrong backing Garrett Crochet. The only kind of hesitation I have here is this Red Sox offense going to, continue to do what they've kind of been doing? Are they going to keep going up and down? Like, there's still a lot of question marks there, but I do think some guys are starting to find the rhythm, and going up against a righty that throws some of the pitches and the pitch mix that I think the Red Sox like to see could be beneficial today. So yeah, give me the Red Sox here at home over the first 5 minus the 0.5 backing Garrett Crochet. In terms of a total, I don't mind the idea of a potential Red Sox team total over. Again, I think that they can get a few off Wu here, and then that, Seattle bullpen isn't all that tremendous. I would think full game over because the bullpen for Boston isn't all that great, but I think that you're silly to take an over when you look at Garrett Crochet on the mound. You know what I mean? Like, he could go 5 scoreless against Seattle, and then it's like, well, the bullpen's not that bad on Boston's side of things. They can be, but not that bad. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go team total over the Red Sox, but I think that the best thing that we could look at in this one is just strictly trying to back the offense with a little bit of Crochet in there to dominate in the first 5. Hey, and if you guys want access to the dashboard we just showed, we make that every single day over on GuyBostonSports.com right here. It looks a little bit different on mobile, but right here you'll see on the members area, you hover over that, you scroll down to MLB Dashboard. If you already have a subscription and you're signed up, you will see the dashboard here. You can open this bad boy up, and you have each and every game like we just looked at in a visual format. This pulls from multiple sites, so you don't have to. You can optimize your research process in the morning, after work, whenever it is, helping you kind of get the details you need to start your research process. Is it an end-all be-all? It can be, but no, you might still want to go to a few other sites to validate or chase down some leads that you might have. But this is an amazing starting point. You have pitcher data on the left, pitch mix data right here, and then everything else from the middle to the right is batter data or team batting data. Really cool stuff, guys. If you do want to check it out, again, it's GuyBostonSports.com. I make it every single day. Some of it's manual, some of it's auto. A lot of copy and pasting going on, but it's just a consolidation of data so we can optimize our research process. Now, if you are looking for it and it doesn't look like this, it means you don't have a membership yet. You'll see that same page and you click on MLB Dashboard. It's going to say, hey, membership required. That part is simple. You can decide which one works for you. They're both very, very cheap for what you're getting, and I mean that, and I can say that because I built the damn tool, right? But we wanted to monetize it a little bit. If you want the NBA and MLB, you can check out the All Sports Dashboard. If you want just the MLB Dashboard, go ahead and check that one out as well. Obviously, prices differ, but the good thing is, as long as you're keeping your subscription active, whichever price you get in at, you'll keep that price. So say we add a really cool feature to the MLB dashboard, and I let you guys know, and I'd always give you notice, hey, in a month, we're going to bump this up by $1. If you're already locked in at the $4.99, You don't have to worry about the increase in charge unless you cancel and sign up again. So yeah, that's something that I think that we do is pretty cool. But go check it out, guys. GuyBostonSports.com. I mean, this thing is well worth what you're getting for, you're paying less than a Starbucks coffee for all this information each and every day. I stand by this. I use it myself. That's how we ended up building it. I wanted to make it easy for me. And then I was like, you know what? Let me bring it to the people. But go check it out. GuyBostonSports.com. Consider becoming a member. All right, Kansas City, Colorado. We got a doubleheader today, and quite honestly, it's a matchup that I'm not even interested in, even if it wasn't a doubleheader. I think I said that when they had game one of this series, but we got Cole Reagans listed on the mound here in game one, going up against the Rockies. I would say maybe a Rockies team total under in the first 5. I really do like Cole Reagans. I think he's going to have a really good year, and he's off to a good start in the season. The reason why I wouldn't just say parlay Kansas City, both games and that type of thing is that this Kansas City offense is still super, super volatile, and I don't really want to back them. They are going up against German Marquez here in the first game. Though he's a righty, and Kansas City has some things that look better against righties, some things look better against lefties, it comes down to that offense, and I want to see that offense look good before really backing it. So what I am a little bit more comfortable is saying, okay, this is a day game. Maybe they're just trying to get through it. Let Reagans go out there and deal, right? And again, this would be first 5 because I don't want to trust the Kansas City bullpen, but go under 1.5. You're probably going to get minus 110 odds, and that's it, right? So ultimately, that's the only thing I'm looking at in terms of a total. That kind of is the spot that I'd look, right? In terms of a side, that's kind of the hybrid approach that I would take. So nothing else to go off on that one. And honestly, when we get to that game in a little bit, it's going to be a lot of the same. I don't like rolling with double headers unless I'm really feeling some conviction about something. And the only thing that's even irking me is a potential look at Colorado's team total. I was thinking about doing an alternate line, their team total under, and for both games, like a crazy line and parlaying them together. But I'm like, aren't we just doing some weird stuff at that point? That might not be worth it. All right, San Fran taking on Milwaukee is our next one. We have Tobias Myers, who has been injured, and he's making his now debut for the season for this Milwaukee team. Obviously saw him a little bit last year, right? His last few starts, honestly, looked pretty good. His last start against San Francisco wasn't all that phenomenal, but yeah, I'll give him some credit. He looked pretty good in his last few starts to close out last year. He's going up against Landon Roop, who I think is turning into a really good, I guess we could say really good, bright young arm. Is that weird to say? But what is he, 25, 26? And I like him. He had 8 strikeouts, or maybe more than that. What is it? 9 strikeouts in his last start, 8 strikeouts in the start before. That was against the Phillies and then the Angels. So I think there's a massive pitching advantage on the side of San Francisco. And that's simply because Tobias Myers, though he might have some good stuff and whatnot, he's still going to be working into this and probably on some sort of a pitch count and that type of a thing, right? So San Francisco, because of the pitching, is what I'll ultimately end up leaning towards. I wanted to get to a first 5 under, but it's going to be tough to trust a guy we haven't seen yet. Now, in terms of his numbers against this squad, the actual guys that make up the roster of San Francisco, he looks okay, but it's only in 11 plate appearances, so it's super, super minimal. So I would still say first 5 under because I trust Landon Roop. Landon Rope. I got to start saying that. I trust him. But Tobias Myers, though he looked really good to close out last year, we got to, make sure that this dude is pitching well before backing that, because even if they do say, okay, well, he's only going to pitch a few innings, maybe 3-4 innings, maybe his pitch count gets high. 1, that would be not good for an under. 2, they have to go to that Milwaukee bullpen, which I don't really trust. So even though it's the thing that I like the most in this game, it's something that I'm still kind of teetering on the edge of. But San Fran money line might be the move as well. I think that we could trust this dude. He's going to throw a ton of curveballs and sinkers. The curveball, this Milwaukee team actually hits pretty well, but the sinker, which is a good split for them, they don't hit all that well. And they're not they're not that phenomenal against righties. I mean, they are, I would say, top third of the league, so pretty good. But Milwaukee's offense, you don't really know exactly what to make of it. I feel like they're one of those inconsistent offenses. Last 4 games, 14 runs, hip hip hooray. Next game, 2 runs. Womp, womp, womp. In fact, we can do that on the soundboard, right? The next game, 11 runs. Hooray. 2 runs yesterday. So they are kind of inconsistent. Give me San Fran in the first 5 under. In terms of player props, I almost want to say we had a player prop in this one that I don't have up in front of me right now. So please hold. Let's see what we got. Nope, must be a different game. We don't have any player props in this game. There's a tease. All right, same thing I said about this matchup earlier, only we don't have Cole Reagans on the mound. We have Lorenzen going up against Dollander. I would still say Royals would be my lean. I just think that they are the far better team, but it is a doubleheader, and that makes me a little woozy. So I'm going to go Royals, first 5 run line. They're going up against Dollander, who I've kind of said now on record, right, in the videos being I think the kid might be better than we're giving him credit for. Like the fact that Dollander has to pitch, away from, or excuse me, the fact that he has to pitch in cores and whatnot could hurt him. But I do think that he has some stuff, I guess. But ultimately, when he pitches at home, he's going to get crushed. But either way, they're in Kansas City. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Second leg of a doubleheader, not exactly my favorite spot. I'm going to lean towards, maybe a Kansas City team total over in this one, because even though I think he has some stuff, what if this Rockies team is tired? They don't really care, and Kansas City's like, hey, let's kind of build some momentum in these two games. But again, doubleheader, I'd always caution you guys to, especially the second leg of a doubleheader, like to caution you to do your due diligence. Think about it. Anything that happens in the first game can now impact the second game, which is usually not the case, right? Usually that game is in a vacuum. They don't have one earlier in the day that could impact it. All right, Washington taking on Baltimore. Baltimore burned us yesterday. Honestly, they were down 3-1. They tied it up in the eighth, and then bottom of the eighth. Yes, that's what it was. Bottom of the eighth, Washington scores one and wins this one 4-3. Cade Povich on the bump today, which I don't know why I have this affliction for him. I like him. I think he's going to be good. And we've backed him a few times this year. He's going up against Mackenzie Gore, though. And a couple things to note here. Mackenzie Gore, really, really good against, at home, which we'll even see that in the dashboard, right? Look at those numbers at home, right? And then Baltimore, absolutely abysmal against lefties, which, by the way, that's how Mackenzie Gore throws the ball, unless something changed in the last 2 hours. So it's tough to sit here and be like, oh, Baltimore stands a chance, because everything's telling us that they don't. They have one guy, Arias, in their lineup today that is batting over 250 against lefties. Westberg is 211, Rushman 160, O'Neal 95, Gunnar Henderson 043, Loreno 077, Sanchez nothing, is 0 hits against lefties. Tough to see, right? So I think that this would be a spot in which we say, sure, let's take a peek, obviously, at this Washington squad. I don't know if I can fully get there, because, again, I do think, and I think I said this kind of yesterday as to why I think we were going to roll with, and why we did roll with Baltimore. I do think Baltimore at some point is going to figure things out and put some pieces together. And then secondarily, I don't think that they get, would this be 4 games, or I think it would be 4 games, no? 2 games, or 3 games, whatever. 4 or 3, I don't have that up in front of me, swept by Washington. I think that they pull one out here. So, yeah, maybe that's a crazy guy yelling at the clouds like, oh, you won't sweep us. I just don't see the sweep. So as weird as it is, I probably end up leaning Baltimore, but all the numbers look like it's a Washington spot. So do with that information what you will. I'm not there to pull the trigger on the Orioles yet because of that lefty batting, but it's almost like keeping me away from going and backing Gore, going and back in the Nationals. It's almost too easy, right? Smells like a trap. This should be like a minus 140 spot for Washington based on how they've been playing, based on how Gore is at home, and based on the fact that he's a lefty. Yeah, we have a pick 'em. A little fishy to me. In terms of where we'd go, we could look at some player props. So we'll talk about the total in a second. Could look at some player props because, again, we do have a ton of guys on that side that just do not hit lefties well. One being Tyler O'Neill. He's a righty bat. Mackenzie Gore's really good against righty bats this year. He's going to see fastball, cutter, slider. Most of those pitches, the fastball and cutter being the main ones, he is hitting terribly this year in terms of advanced WOBA and K rate and all that. So I like the idea of Tyler O'Neill under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. The problem with, and we've cashed this already this year a couple times, so I say the problem with, but we've gotten lucky. Let's knock on wood. He's a guy that, yeah, maybe he doesn't hit lefties well, maybe, blah, blah, blah. He gets one over the plate. The guy's strong enough and a good enough hitter and powerful enough hitter that he could change his hits, runs, and RBIs with one swing of the bat. You know what I mean? So that's a little worrisome, but I still do think that we have a decent amount of value there on our side. I believe we had one other one that's not popping that I don't have right here. Mountcastle under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I just like the value in this one, minus 105. He's obviously another guy that's not hitting lefties all that well, but he isn't hitting them super, super poorly in the sense. He is the one guy or one of the guys that's over 250 in this lineup. So sure, that could be a look, but I just like the fact that it's a minus 105 under. Usually we're not getting many of those, and it's the same thing. We have Mackenzie Gore against a right-handed bat. So for the value, I do think that could be a final play, but it doesn't have the same just hit trend type of look as the Tyler O'Neill. But again, it could be definitely a spot. 2 Baltimore guys under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs doesn't seem all that crazy due to the fact that they can't hit lefties. In terms of a total, I would say over, but it doesn't correlate to anything that I'm saying, right? But what I talked about is the fact that this seems so easy to take Washington. How are they expecting, I guess just by the total in general, Baltimore to get runs, right? I guess they would say against the bullpen, which stinks. So I'm going to lean over just because things seem a little fishy in this one. But those player props are really the only thing that my finger's itching to press that button on. All right, next up, we got the Angels taking on the Pirates, and I'll jump right into what I like. It's something that we played yesterday and hit on. I liked the first 5 under in this one. You can get first 5 under 4.5 for plus money. You can get first 5 under 5 for minus 125. You can get first 5 under 5.5 for like minus 150. So all 3 of those I do think have some value. I would say the under 5 right in the middle there is probably the one that I look at. You're kind of you are losing, the 20 cents of value on that 4.5, but I think that half run, the value of getting, over 25 cents from that 5.5 to 5 looks good to me. Tyler Anderson's on the mound for this LA team. You might be thinking, okay, well, he's not all that tremendous, but when he's pitched 4 starts so far this year, he's hit the Nerfy in each and every one of them, 2 being at home. He's got Carmen Malinsky, or whatever the hell the guy's name is, on the other side of things. He's 2-1-1 to the Nerfy so far this year, and when he's been on the road, the first 5 under, both of those starts on the road. Now, Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, say what you will about their offenses, decent offenses, I would say. Both of those were the first 5 under cashed. And what I like about him, he's going to throw a ton of ground ball-esque pitches, mainly from sliders and the fastball low in the zone. I think that he'll be able to keep the ball in play on the Angel side of things. Now, Tyler Anderson on the other side of things, not exactly a ground ball guy, not exactly a phenomenal pitcher to back in general, right? But this Pittsburgh offense is still bad enough, in my opinion, that we don't need a stud pitcher against them. And don't forget, he's the guy that's 4-0 to the first 5 under when he starts this year. So, yeah, I really do like the idea of a first 5 under between these 2 squads. It's just a matter of if we do kind of look into it more. Do we like the under 4.5 for plus money? Do we like the safer under 5.5? Or do we just go right in the middle there at under 5? We'll figure that one out, but pretty confident this could be a play. In terms of a side here, I think much like we talked about yesterday, and would have been great if we pulled the trigger, right? These odds don't fully make sense. Like yesterday, I think we had like plus 140 for the Pirates, and I said they have the pitching advantage, I would say, Heaney over Kokonowitz. Now, both guys pitched okay, but Pittsburgh ends up winning. Now, I didn't have the stones to pull trigger on the Pirates, but I would see something similar today in a sense. The only thing that kind of worries me, and I know I keep saying this, it's like, well, are the Pirates really going to come into the Angels Stadium here and sweep them 3 games? That I don't necessarily see. So I do lean Pittsburgh because I like that plus number. I think that things are a lot more even than they look, and more of a 50-50 spot in which you're getting the 50-50, you're getting a way better price than 50-50, right? But if you like the Angels, I think that there's a good reason to say, well, obviously they're not going to just sweep them. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I'd view it. The fact that it's a sweep probably would keep me off of it. But to be honest, I wasn't on it yesterday for similar reasons. So, maybe I'm a fraud out here. But I do think Pittsburgh could win this game. But the sweeps kind of keep me away from it. And then in terms of total, like I said, first 5 under is definitely, I would say, what I'm prioritizing in terms of a total. Now, if we look at player props, there are a few that I like in this one, and they're a little juiced, so keep that in mind. But I think that we have some decent matchups here. So I have 3 that I want to talk about. We will, I guess, determine if we do get to all 3 or if we kind of wimp out on. Actually, wow, we have 4. So, okay, first and foremost, I'm going to look at Jared Triolo on the Pittsburgh side of things. He doesn't have great numbers against Tyler Anderson. Now, he does hit lefties well, but Tyler Anderson against righty bats this year has been really, really good, and it looks like Triolo does strike out against the fastball a decent amount. You look at the changeup, he hits it poorly in terms of WOBA. So now those are 2 little points in the side. The thing that could keep me off of this is that he's much better hitting lefties this year. The next one's going to be Kyron Paris. He's bats righties worse. He's seeing a righty today in Malinsky. Malinsky's really good at throwing, or better, I should say, at throwing against righty bats. The slider, however, is a good pitch for Paris, so maybe that keeps us off it. But we did list a couple things that we like, right? Moving on to Brian Hayes, under 2.5 bases, so not hits, runs, and RBIs. He has really struggled against lefties. As we've already mentioned, Tyler Anderson's been pretty damn good against righties. The fastball is a great pitch in favor of Tyler Anderson. His WOBA, so Brian Hayes' WOBA drops down to 209 against that. The problem is the changeup, the cutter, the next couple pitches, he hits well. So hopefully that fastball is good enough to take a peek at, right? But I don't mind his under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs either. I just think that this is a guy that, can can get some RBIs. So the total bases, honestly, is something that I like a little bit more. And then the last one would be what we tried to roll with yesterday, but he didn't end up going, would be Logan Hoop here, which is fading him against the righty, which isn't all that bad, but the slider he doesn't hit well, the fastball not so much, the changeup not so much. So out of all the ones we talked about, that probably is the most likely, and then Hayes. But yeah, a lot of player prop action, because I do like the first 5 under, so it kind of helps here. A lot of player prop action that we could potentially be rolling with, but again, some of these guys might not even play. All right, Arizona, Tampa Bay. This is an interesting one here. I think you can go in multiple directions. So, yeah, I'll say that first and foremost. If you like Arizona, you can make arguments. If you like Tampa Bay, you can make some good arguments. We have Corbin Burnes on the bump here for Arizona, going up against Drew Rasmussen. There's no denying who's had a better season. Now, who's the better pitcher, you might be able to get into a debate about, but Corbin Burnes on the year, 4.6 ERA, 1.4 whip, a FIP of 5.4, which is bad. It does drop to a 4.3, but he has an average against of 260, only a K rate of 18, a walk rate of nearly 10. He is inducing a lot of ground balls, though, so fine. But you look at Drew Rasmussen, 0.87 ERA, a whip of 0.82. At home, it drops to a 0.8. FIP of 1.62, only up to a 2.6 or 2.8 in terms of an expected FIP. Average against of 169. A lot of good things to pull from here, right? Nearly a 30% K rate, 6% walk rate. So, yeah, I think that this is obviously a good pitcher on the mound for them. I would say you're getting some value on the Rays side of things as well with the plus money, because as good as this Arizona offense is, and I really do like this Arizona offense, against righties, this is the #1 average team on the year so far against righties in Tampa Bay, batting .275, WRC plus top 3. I believe that's like tied with Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, which is funny enough. Both these squads hit righties really well. Both pitchers are very, very good. I still think I end up leaning towards the over, even though both bullpens are fairly good as well, because I think these bats are so good. But the side that I would lean towards would probably end up being Tampa Bay, just, again, due to the fact that Drew Rasmussen has what I would say right now an edge over Corbin Burnes, and I almost think it's crazy to be paying that juice, even though Corbin Burnes may be the better pitcher, but also maybe not, but he has the better name, the bigger name, so they're going to give him some, tax on that price, which they did. So, yeah, screw it. Tampa Bay in the over is what I'm looking at in this one, which you might think is crazy on both ends, because fading Corbin Burnes and also flipping it over and saying, well, you're taking an over in a spot in which you have 2 stud pitchers on the mound? I guess so. All right, last game on the slate, we got JT Ginn pitching for the A's, going up against Jacob deGrom, who obviously is a stud, and he started to look like it, right? His last start against the Dodgers, 7 innings pitched. Now, they lost this game, but he pitched really well. 7 innings pitched, just 3 hits, 1 earned run, and it was a solo blast. So 1 bad pitch type of thing, right? Ginn, I'm not going to lie, he has a couple starts under his belt. I don't think that he's looked terrible, especially when he's been at home, I guess, and his 2 starts again. The one thing I'll say is this is probably a Texas spot for me, because Ginn, and I can just show you the dash here. Look at the sinker. A lot of sinkers, right? Would you look at that? The one pitch that Texas is top 10 in the league in terms of runs above average this year is the sinker. So I saw that and I was like, all right, deGrom, you got a pitch that you might be able to hit. Yeah, I think I'm going to lean in that direction. Now, is this Texas team, including their offense, because that's a big part, are they really worth -130, -140? That's where you might get me kind of hung up. But the sinker and with deGrom on the bump, it's a little bit too much for me to deny. So that's how I would end up going about this. I don't mind the idea of, potential look at a first 5 under, though, even though I do like, them hitting the sinker. The sinker, them hitting it, just going to keep the ball on the ground, right? And Ginn does produce a lot of ground balls. deGrom, not so much. He's going to make you fan a little bit more. But this is an Athletics team that hits it on the ground plenty. So maybe we do take a peek at a first 5 under, because we have a pitcher that likes to pitch to the ground balls, like I said, but then we also just have a really good pitcher in deGrom doing his thing. So I could get behind that right now. Again, my under 5, you're getting decent numbers here. Again, in every start this year, which again, it's only 2, he's hit the under in the first 5. He's also hit it in, I think it's 8 of his last 9. So dating back to last season. deGrom, on the other hand, this year has looked pretty good as well. He's 3-0-1, so he's undefeated to the first 5 as well, especially to this number, 5.5. Now, he did land on 5 once, which is why we might like the 5 more than, say, a 4.5 for, even odds. I think the 5 could be a look. So, yeah, maybe we go to the first 5. I'm almost talking myself myself into that. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know exactly what to do. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Really do appreciate the heck out of you guys. Comment 29 if you made it this far into the video. The fact that you guys, you know, especially if it's your first time, great. Hopefully you come back. But the returning people, the returning viewers, the real community here, the fact that you guys will spend, you know, a half hour with me talking shop in a sense, even though we're not talking back and forth, I like to make these videos as if there's another human on the other side watching, which is good. That's why I like to interact with comments and all that. But I'm so appreciative of the fact that you guys take the time each and every day to interact and watch and whatnot, even if we're saying some dumb stuff, which we do. This brain doesn't always function, you know what I mean? So it really is like I'm just not just a robot here giving picks. It's just a blast, and I have a ton of fun with you guys in the community. So yeah, before I start, get a little tear rolling down my eye. I'm gonna sign off. Catch you guys in the next. All right, peace out.